Quick chemistry tip from ChemHelp ASAP. Today we're talking about balancing equations, but we're talking about balancing equations in hard mode. So let's take a look at our equation that we need to balance. And from the onset, it looks pretty simple. So let's just jump in and try to balance this. Okay, so my nitrogen's already balanced. My hydrogens look like they might be a little bit difficult, so I'm going to skip that. Let's go ahead and balance my oxygen. Okay, so first I'm going to balance my oxygen. My carbon's already balanced, so I'm really going to have to jump into those hydrogens. Okay, so then I balance the hydrogen. Now I have to go back and balance carbon again. Okay, but that kind of messes up my hydrogen. So now I'm going to try to fix my hydrogen, but then I'm going to have to go back and fix my oxygen. Now I need to fix my nitrogen. That's also going to mess up the hydrogen again. So I'm going to try and fix the hydrogen. All right, and now I'm left with this weird situation where I've got 9 oxygens on the right and 6 oxygens on the left. And I feel like I'm kind of stuck in a loop. I just keep going back and forth and rebalancing the same things over and over again. Okay, so this comes to my first tip when we're balancing equations in hard mode. Sometimes you need to just stop and start over. So if you find yourself in a loop, just stop, erase everything, start over fresh. Okay, so I'm going to start this equation over fresh. I'm going to erase all of my work that I've already done. Okay, my second tip is generally oxygens and hydrogens are the most difficult. So if you can save those to the end. The other tip that kind of mixes in with that is if you have oxygen or hydrogen on its own as an element, try to save that to last or push that more towards the end as much as you can. So in my equation that I've got right here, I'm going to try and hold off on oxygen as long as I can. I mean, I can't do it forever, but I'm going to try to hold off on oxygen. And my third tip that I recommend is when you really get stuck, is start by multiplying through by 2 first, because it could be possible that maybe you might have a fraction in here initially, and multiplying through by 2 might get rid of that fraction. Okay, so I'm going to restart my equation here, again, totally blank. I'm going to start with a 2 in front of my ammonia or 2 in front of my NH3. Okay, so first I'm going to balance my nitrogens because my nitrogens are not balanced. Then I'm going to balance my carbons. Next, I'm going to balance my hydrogen. So you can see hydrogens again a little tricky because I've got hydrogens in multiple species here. So I've got 6 plus 8 or 14 on the left. You can see I have to take into account the hydrogens in the HCN, so I'm going to subtract 2 out of that. So if I put a 6 in front of the water, that ought to work. Okay, so now hydrogens are balanced, and I have managed to save oxygen until the end. So I can basically put any number I want in front of the O2 to make this balance. And you can see all I need to do is put a 3 in front of the O2, and now I have a balanced chemical equation. So those are my tips for balancing the difficult chemical equations. Often, just as an FYI, combustion does tend to be a difficult equation. Sometimes those are better if you start with a 2 in front of your hydrocarbon. Now, if you need more help, you can find me at ChemHelp ASAP on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and at chemhelpasap.com. Happy balancing!